This is Alexander News Show. Watch this.
Nominee for President of the United States. They might let the white guy Gavin Newsom be the vice president. Their biggest headache is, of course, Kamala Harris. What to do about Kamala? Because under any normal scenario, the sitting vice president would be next in line for the nomination if the candidate for president decided he was not going to stand for a nomination. But let's face it, she doesn't have senile dementia, but she makes less sense than Joe Biden. I have predicted that Barack Obama, who is the de facto leader of the Democratic Party, will solve that issue. They will promise Kamala a Supreme Court nomination if they can win the Senate and retain the White House. And she, as a former member of the Senate, would be most confirmable, as scary as that is. She is, after all, a former Attorney General of California. That will solve their issue. Therefore, the only way to replace a woman of color on the ticket is with another more popular woman of color. They will also try to disassociate themselves with the Biden record. That's not us, those are Bidenomics, so that's not us, but make no mistake about it, the de facto president of the United States today is Barack Hussein Obama. You can see his interview with the no longer funny Stephen Colbert, which he says, "I often thought it'd be how great it'd be if I could just hang out in my basement, in my sweats, and have a microphone, connected to an earphone to whoever the front man actually says it is, and run the show." I think that's pretty much what's happening today. So we're having the third term of Obama, and what's it brought us? Closer to the cusp of World War III. Censor your ideas, your thoughts, and your opinions just because they don't fit their pre-approved narrative. But they say, we are the danger to democracy. Now let's be very clear. It is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris who are the danger to democracy. We have a confluence of events in this country that no one would have possibly seen. As was said in the introduction, I recognized earlier than most, as early as 1988, that Donald Trump had not only the capacity to be a truly great candidate for president, but he had the capability to be a truly great president. And frankly, he will already go down in the history books as a transformative president, having given us the strongest, most robust economy in our history. He brought back 650,000 manufacturing jobs. Remember when Barack Obama said, "What are you going to do, Donald? Just wave a wand and bring those jobs back?" Well, Donald Trump did wave the wand of tax reduction and regulatory reduction, and he rebuilt our economy, including those factory jobs. Those men had an Iran that was completely broke, where he had his foot on their throat. They could not sell their oil. They were broke. They couldn't finance terrorism. That brought you peace in the Middle East. I was able to execute famous record as a peacemaker. You had him appointing scores and scores, hundreds of conservatives to the judiciary at all levels. You had him rebuild our military strength, which had been allowed to atrophy under Barack Obama. There is no question that he already goes down in history as one of the most consequential presidents in our lifetime. So why is he subjecting himself to this again? Does anyone believe that he would be under this kind of legal assault, indicted in 91 charges, fighting both in state and in federal courts against completely fabricated lawfare suits that are designed to interfere with his election if he were not running? If he just decided to retire to the greatest life he could possibly have, where he could play golf whenever he wanted to, where he could play with his grandchildren, where he could no longer get the slings and arrows of fake news media. He's not running because he wants a bigger house. If you've been to Mar-a-Lago, he's already got the nicest house you could possibly have. He's not running because he wants a bigger plane. If you've seen Trump Force One, it's every bit as nice as Air Force One. I've been on both of them. He's not running because he needs bigger name ID. He's the best name known advocate for free enterprise and the American way of life in the world. He's running because he loves America and he hates seeing what's happening to it under the failed leadership of the worst president in American history, Joe Biden. Crooked Joe Biden. The man can steal a hot stove. Now, this effort to be on the ballot because he engaged in insurrection. First of all, no court anywhere in the land at any level has charged for. So just because that is the opinion of some left-wing college professor someplace in Colorado does not make it so. And the 14th Amendment, Section 3, that they refer specifically to, specifically does not include the President and Vice President of the United States. Who is a threat to democracy? Those who don't want to let you put your name on the ballot. Those are the threats to news jackals. None of them mentioned that I not only dispute the authenticity of this audio recording, but that I sent it out for forensic examination to the very best artificial intelligence analysts using the most up-to-date software and proved indisputably no evidence of any other crime. They even admitted this in their long redacted final special report. So they very cleverly charged me with process crimes, lying in my voluntary testimony to Congress. Who testifies to Congress voluntarily and lies when I have no motive to lie because there was no Russian collusion to lie about? There was no WikiLeaks collaboration to lie about. And the idea that the Democratic National Committee was the target of an online hack of their computer servers by Russian intelligence is a lie for which the government is. John Durham didn't even address this in his report. So he debunked the Steele dossier, but he never addressed the question of the entirely false narrative regarding how the Democratic National Committee and Clinton campaign emails got to WikiLeaks. Good point. It is extraordinary, therefore, when people keep talking about Watergate. You know, I work for Richard Nixon. I've written 2 books on the subject, but without any question, Obamagate is the greatest single dirty trick in American politics. It's nothing less than using the full authority of the United States government and the full capability of our intelligence agencies utilizing evidence that they know was fabricated, paid for by Hillary Clinton, the Steele dossier, in order to launch an illegitimate and illegal effort to remove a duly elected American president. Obamagate makes Watergate look like small potatoes. This is an abuse of power, the likes of which we have never seen before, but you notice that literally nobody is being held responsible. They charged me with lying to Congress, and although I did make misstatements to Congress, none of them were material. None of them were relevant. None of them hid any underlying crime. What about CIA Director John Brennan? He lied to Congress about spying on Congress. What about James Comey? He lied, the FBI director, he lied to Congress multiple times. What about Hillary Clinton? So we have, and we continue to see this right now, Hunter Biden, despite his record of drug use, his financial crimes, he's a member of the DC bar in good standing, but Jeff Clark, who is a deputy attorney general who wrote a memo about the history of the Electoral College Act, they want to charge him with a crime. He's suspended from the DC bar. Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro refused to testify before the January 6th committee. I chose a different course. They sent me a subpoena. I showed up, fulfilling my legal obligations, and I pled the Fifth Amendment, refusing to answer their questions. Not because I did anything wrong, not because I had anything to hide, but because I was keenly aware of their ability to take something you say and twist it into a crime in D.C. Believe me, they can indict a ham sandwich.